Okay, guys and gals, here is the answer key to your formative assessment. And this is from chapter not 2B, but 5B. So I'm going to adjust that. All right, 5-number summary of a set of data is, your choice should be A, minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, and maximum. Okay, questions 2 through 4 says use the box plot to the right, and it's showing annual snow depth at Mathsville Ski Resort. Okay, so when you look at a box plot like this, the median score is the middle line of your box. So looking at that, it looks to me like 76 is your median. That would be answer C. Then the IQR, or interquartile range. The interquartile range goes from quartile 1, which is the start of your box, to quartile 3, which is the end of your box. So it goes from here to here. Quartile 1 looks like it's in the 50s somewhere, and quartile 3 looks like it's a little bit over 100. So what am I going to do to calculate that? I'm going to take quartile 3 minus quartile 1, and I would say B is your closest answer. Approximately 50 in spread, or range, I'm sorry. What percentage of years did the snowfall have between 52 and 125 inches? All right, so remember, with a box plot, each portion of this box plot is 25% of your data. So as you can see, as I'm drawing these lines, I've got 25% chunks. It's split into fourths. The top whisker being the top fourth of the data, the bottom whisker being the bottom fourth of your data. And we are looking at about 52, so somewhere around here, quartile 1, to 125 inches, which is up here where the max is. So how many 25% chunks do we have? We have 3 of those 25% chunks. Or we have 3/4 of the 4 parts of the box plot. Letter C is your answer. Moving on, it says, for questions 5 through 8, use the following test scores of 15 students. All right, we were nice to you and we put your data in order, which is the first step that you always want to take. Now we are going to look at finding our 5-number summary by hand. You can put this into your calculator, but it is worth your while to do it by hand too. Smallest number is the minimum. Largest number in your ordered list is the maximum. There happens to be 15 students in this list, so if I take 15 divided by 2, I end up at 7.5, which I'm going to round up to 8. And I'm going to find the 8th piece of data in my ordered list. That is 71. That is also known as the median, or the middle. If you notice, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 pieces of data below 71 and 7 pieces of data above 71. All right, once we do all that, we can actually find quartile 1. Quartile 1 is the middle of the bottom 50% of the data. So there's 7 pieces up here. I'm going to look to split it in half. There's 3 pieces of data, 44, 46, 52 to the left of quartile 1, and there's 3 pieces of data, 60, 63, and 65 to the right of quartile 1. Do not include the 71. Since that is the actual median, we do not include it when we're calculating our quartile 1 data. So letter E is your answer. Again, for the upper end, same thing. There's 7 pieces of data. I want to find the middle. So I'm looking for quartile 3, and that looks to be 87 because I have split the 74, 80, 85 as the lower half, and 90, 94, 95 is the upper half of that upper 50% of data. So that would be letter A. Find the IQR, or interquartile range. Recall, we take quartile 3 minus quartile 1. Quartile 3, as we just found out, is 87. Quartile 1 as we just found out as well, is 57. So our interquartile range is 30, which is letter A. Then it says for number 8, which of the following assists you in finding outliers? Well, you'll notice here we don't have the full formula, but we do have part of it. Letter B would be the answer. However, I just want to refresh your memories. Remember, we were talking about how do you identify outliers, and I introduced a little different terminology for it, which I think makes it easier to understand. Lower fence. There is a formula for the lower fence. It is quartile 1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. Once you find this number, anything below it is considered an outlier. On the same hand, we also have the upper fence. We can have outliers that are unusually large. That formula is quartile 3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. And if we calculate the low fence and the high fence, we're looking for things that are below that limit or above that limit. So letter B is your answer for that particular question. All right, our next question is going to require calculations on a calculator. I have preloaded the information into the calculator, and I just want to show you some of the steps that need to be taken in order to do the calculations that we want. Oh, that's going to hide it, darn it. Well, let's try that again. Yep, okay. So here's my calculator, and I am finding the standard deviation in number 9 using my calculator. So I've entered my list, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hit the second button and then y equals. And you will notice here that you have plots to choose. I want to choose the first plot. I'm going to turn off the second plot because guess what? If I have two of them going at the same time, it will not give me the picture that I want. I can arrow up and get back onto plot 1 and enter to select that. So I've turned it on. If I arrow down, I have to go to the right to select my box plot that shows the whiskers on the high end. I choose my list, and now I want to graph it. So I'm going to click zoom. All right, now I'll try it again. We're going to click zoom and number 9. There is my box plot. All right, so we are looking for standard deviation. Guess what? Don't get standard deviation when you have a box plot. So again, I'm going to go into stat. I'm going to the right for calc. I want one variable stats. I push enter. I make sure I have the correct information listed. So I want the calculator to get the information from list 1. And I'm going to enter through until it says calculate. Right here, the S of X, that is your standard deviation. So if you look at number 9, that would be letter C. Two ways to find the 5-number summary. Let's see, maybe I can make this smaller. Talking out loud. Let's try this. All right, so going back here, we just found out that number 9 was letter C, 17.28. That is the standard deviation. Just a refresher, remember standard deviation is a measure of spread. Oh, what do you know? That answers our next question. The standard deviation measures letter D, the spread. Okay, I'm going to go back to the calculator. There are two ways to find the 5-number summary. One way is to look at our plot. So zoom 9, and there's our plot. If I want to use my box plot to find this, I'm going to press trace, and then you will see the minimum is 32, and if I arrow over, I got quartile 1 at 55.5, and the median at 69.5. If I arrow to the right, there's quartile 3 at 79.5, and 99 is your max. The other way that I can find the 5-number summary, and this is helpful for those of you who do not have the graphing calculator, but can enter a list and do one variable stats. When you do one variable stats, if you toggle arrow down to the very bottom, you will also get the 5-number summary right here. Okay, and then you can use that to draw the picture that you need to draw. All right, so the long and short of it, if you are looking at number 11, which is the one we want to answer now, you should have answered. There it is. You should have answered letter B. And you could have found that either way. I showed you how to do it there. All right, last but not least, it says create a box plot that represents, the given data using your calculator. So some of you probably use the blank space below, and some of you probably use the calculator. If you use the calculator, it's pretty easy. It is letter A. If you are using the blank space below to make your box and whisker plot, you need to make a number line first that is equally spread out as far as the data goes. So I start at 32, I end at 99. I think I'm going to go 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Try to keep them equally spaced if you can, but it might not be perfect. I think I'm going to put little slashes in here to represent the 5s, the halfway point. And then I'm going to go ahead and plot my data. I've got 32, which is about right here. And by the way, if you don't have the graphing calculator, keep in mind that you're still going to have to use the formulas for identifying outliers, the lower fence and the upper fence. 32 is our 5-number summary minimum. 55.5, so about right here is your first line. 69.5 is the median. 79.5 is quartile 3. Connect those 3 lines to make your box. And our maximum is 99. And again, you will see that that looks much more like choice A than it does choice B. All right, now that you've done your formative and you've looked over the answers to correct it, here's what I'd like you to do. Number 1, pull up on your docs the learning scale, learning scale for chapter 5B, and do check number 2. And just see if this helps you clarify where you're at, because you'll notice that the questions on your formative relate to all of those I can statements. So check how you did on your formative. Use that to judge yourself with a 1, 2, 3, or 4 for check number 2. After you complete that, your homework for tomorrow is part of our review. You will get a blue packet from the sub, and you are only to do page 10. All right, hope you guys had a good day. I hope you were kind to the sub, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.